Wuthering Waves, the new open world gacha game, is out, and I wanted to make a video for you guys on my first impressions of the game's full release. I did have a video a couple months ago where I did my first impressions on the beta, and at that point I got up to like around level 27, but some things have changed. They took a lot of player feedback and they implemented stuff into the game that is different now. I just wanted to make this video for you guys if you're on the fence or wondering, hey, what is this game? Is it worth downloading? And just my experience so far. I've put about 10 hours into the full release. I'm going to give you my pros and cons of playing the game so far, and then you can decide for yourself. So first and foremost, what is this game? It's a new open world gacha RPG made by Kuro Games, who made another game called Punishing Gray Raven, if you've heard of it. And they're very well known for like having amazing combat, which this game has. I'll touch on that in a bit though. But you play as a character named the Rover, and you pretty much lose your memory. You have amnesia and you land in some world that you've never been in, and you're trying to reclaim your memories while bad stuff starts to happen in the world. And starting out with some of the pros, the world is, in my opinion, gorgeous. It's a good mixture of bright and vibrant areas mixed with like some sad and depressing areas. And off the bat, the map is pretty big and there's a lot to explore and find. A lot of puzzles to do, a lot of enemies to fight, echoes to collect, which I'll tell you guys what echoes are in a minute. But it feels like there's a good amount of things off launch to do in the world to keep you busy. And as the game grows, it'll only get bigger and better. So that's a win-win. And I don't know if I'm just forgetting or not, but when I played the beta, one of my complaints was that I felt like there weren't enough enemies in the world to fight. But now with full release, I haven't really felt that. I felt like it's been a pretty good mixture of enough enemies to fight, enough puzzles to do. So maybe they went ahead and added more things into the game, or maybe they didn't, but that's how I'm feeling right now, at least. Another pro are the graphics. I love these graphics. It's just beautiful. I'm playing this game at 4K high settings on a pretty beefy PC, and it looks gorgeous. Some of the scenery that I've come across is just jaw-dropping. Now, another pro that I have, and it's probably the biggest pro of Wuthering Waves, is its combat. I am obsessed with this combat. If you watched my other video on the beta, I had said the same thing. I love the combat, but I felt like the game was too easy. And boy, was I wrong. I was talking more about the bosses in the story quests, but then once you fight bosses outside of story quests and just in the open world, and as your world level gets bigger, the bosses get harder. And I learned that the hard way. Okay. As your world level gets higher, your bosses get harder. And if you're someone like me who loves a challenge, you're gonna love this game. Story bosses are still somewhat fairly easy, but they're supposed to be so that they can help you progress in the game, because that's how you progress in these games. You got to finish the story, right? They don't want to make it too difficult where you uninstall the game. But once you go out into the open world and actually fight these enemies, it actually does take skill. There's a dodge mechanic where if you dodge perfectly at the right time, it'll slow down time and you can get some extra hits in there. There's a parry mechanic, which is actually tied to your normal attack, so you can't just be button mashing, because if you do that, you'll miss your parry window. And I like that, because for a little bit I thought to myself, okay, well, maybe we should have the parry button on a separate button. But I actually like that they tied it to the normal attack, because when you see the gold ring around an enemy and you want to parry them, it makes you have to like stop and slow down your button mashing to actually time it right. You also have intro and outro skills, so when you swap characters, you'll get like a little chime and you'll know when to switch, and then the characters will do different attacks, like entering the battle arena or exiting. And dude, I'm just gonna tell you right now, some of the fights that I've been in, I feel like I'm in an anime, like mixed with the dodging and switching characters and the ults. Like, they knocked it out of the park. I think that's probably my favorite part about this game, is the addictive combat. It's just so good. Like, if you play other games, sometimes you feel like, oh, you know, the combat is good, but it's too easy. Like, the bosses are too easy. Not in this game. It'll challenge you. And as you play more, you'll get better and stronger, and it'll just scale with you. And it just feels satisfying, you know? And I love that. And of course, each character has like their own weapons, and they have their own skills as well. Kind of like other gacha games that you've played, where they have like their ultimates and their skills, and they all do different things. Here's actually something, side note, that I love that they put into this game. So if you're like me, when you're reading a bunch of text, you kind of get it, but you're just like, okay, how does that translate? What does that look like on the battlefield? Well, in this game, every character, and I mean every single character in this game as a trial. If you go to the menu like this and you click on the right button down here, you can enter a tutorial. Each character has their own tutorial to teach you how to use them and what they do. So it'll throw you into this domain like this, and then you can start the challenge. And then it shows you right here, okay, so for your basic attack, this is your basic combo. You can perform up to 3 continuous attacks dealing havoc damage. And bam, you complete it, right? And then it'll tell you what your skill does. So that's what that does. And then it teaches you more and more, and it progressively gives you the more advanced things and the more advanced combos and stuff like that. Every character has like their own trial that you can learn them, and they all have their own special move sets. And you obviously have different team comps and how team synergies work. There's a lot of complexity here. And speaking of like how the characters work and stuff, you might be wondering, okay, how do like the artifact systems work? In Wuthering Waves, you have an ecosystem. So it's like these monsters that you fight out in the world, and there's a bunch of different types, right? Like this one is literally a car turned into a spider monster. There's some wild ones. There's like a wolf. There's literally a street light with legs and arms. Like, they got some crazy designs. You fight these out in the open world, and then you have a chance to absorb their echo, Pokemon style. It's like you collect them, and then these act as like your artifacts in other games, right? They'll give you skills, and then if you have like more of the same type of them, like stacked on top of each other, then you get more bonuses like this. So as you can see right here, with all of the echoes that I have on this character, I get this echo skill right here, and then I get this Sonata effect right here as well. So it gives me more energy regen. And of course, you can mix and match them as well. You can upgrade your echoes, and you can get different substats for them too. And the nice thing is too, is that you can just farm these for as long as you want. And I absolutely love that. So for people who just want to like sit there all day and farm and play, you can do it. And speaking of the characters, I personally love the character designs. I know in the beta, I was talking about how some people thought that the character designs were a little okay-ish, but some of these characters that you meet, they look really good. Like this is your MC right here, and I like their design. It looks good. They're a good looking character, right? This is my first 5-star that I got. Her name is Verena. She's a healer that uses like grass powers. I think her character design looks great too. Like she's got like the leaf backpack and like a vine here, and her hair, like it looks great. Yang I think looks pretty cool too with the blue and black. Now look at this. This is Calcharo, and you're telling me that the character designs aren't good? Look at him. You got Jian as well, who I think looks amazing too. I'm really happy with them. I like the way the characters look. Positive for me. Since we're on this page already, we can talk about this. Another big positive for me is the way the gacha system works in this game. Because yes, it's a gacha game. With full release, we have the beginner's choice banner. It's like your standard, like you start the game for the first time. A 10 pull is like 8 instead of 10. It's like discounted, and you can get a 5-star, right? So when you start the game, obviously put your wishes into this one to get a 5-star pretty early. I got mine at like 30 pity, Verena. But the cool thing that they do here, once you get your first 5-star on that beginner banner, then it gives you a 5-star character selector, and then you can pick your next 5-star that you want from this banner, which I think is amazing. I chose Calcharo as my next one, so once I get my next 5-star, it'll be him, which is amazing. Then you obviously have like your limited character event banners. So Jian is the first one right here. You can lose your 50-50 on this one. Then you have your weapon banner, which I talked about this in the beta, and it still did not change, which I'm very happy about. The 5-star weapon of your choice is guaranteed within 80 convenes. This weapon that is on the weapon banner is guaranteed. You will get this weapon within 80 wishes. So for once, the weapon banner is not really a scam in a gacha game. And I hope they keep it like this. I really do. And then you have your standard banner here. But what they did differently with Wuthering Waves is that they have a character standard banner, then they have their weapon standard banner. Other games have those two in one banner. Like you get a gold on a standard, it's like, oh, is it a character? And then it ends up being a weapon. Not in this game. And the cool thing is you can pick the path for the weapon that you want to get. So that's nice. I think the gacha system in this is so far really good. I hope they keep it like this. I'm trying to be F2P in this game, but if they keep it like this, I mean, I might break that. I don't know. And another thing I love about the game is the movement and how you just traverse the world. You get a really cool grappling hook that you can use mid-air, which is really nice. And then you can sprint, which by the way, does not use stamina. Yeah, that's pretty pog. You can climb up walls, or if you're impatient like me, you can sprint up walls, which obviously will use stamina. But the nice thing about climbing up walls is that you can do this really cool flip, and you can flip over like obstacles, like little lips on walls. So pretty much anything is climbable, and it is so nice. It's such a small little thing, but being able to flip over a lip of a wall, God, it's amazing. I'm sorry, like that little thing, it's amazing. I love it. Oh, and the music, I forgot, dude. The music I think is great. Like it's great in my opinion. There are certain parts of the map that have like a really good track, specifically next to the purple tree. I forget what that place is called, but I really like the music there. Some of the boss music too, banger, especially the first boss, dude. When the guitar solo comes in, it hypes you up, dude. They did a great job with the music. Some of the music is not so memorable, but again, this is a first impressions. It'll only get better and better. But I think overall music for me, at least in my ears, I'm enjoying it. With all of that stuff combined, dude, this game has been so addictive. Like all I want to do is just keep playing it. I don't want to put it down, you know, but it's also not perfect. And I'm going to talk about the cons here now. So off the bat, I don't know why, but they got rid of 120 FPS. Back in the beta, we had 120 FPS, but apparently from what I'm hearing, it was causing issues. So they had to get rid of it for now. Hopefully they bring back the 120 FPS. Currently it's capped at 60, which is not a deal breaker, but 120 was nice. Probably the biggest con right now for a lot of players, not including myself, is the performance issues of this game. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not that great, especially on mobile, but it looks to be different for a lot of people. Mobile specifically, it's glitchy. The frame rates are really bad. It's crashing constantly, black screens. It is not performing the way it should be performing, which is really bad because I feel like a lot of people will probably just write the game off then and be like, okay, well, this game, you know, sucks, which it doesn't. This game is so good and it's just being plagued by like technical issues. But with that being said, and I guess this is another pro that I forgot to mention, but the developers, dude, they listen to you guys. They have been implementing updates every day, hot fixes, and they hear you guys. And with that, they've been compensating us too with free pools, free rewards, and now they're giving us a free 5-star selector ticket, which is insane for, you know, the issues that we've been having on top of like what you're already getting in game. They took a lot of the feedback and they implemented that stuff into the game. So they're listening to you guys. They want the game to succeed. I'm here for it, dude. Another con for me is with the English voiceover. It's hit or miss for me personally. And I get it. You know, I'm a pretty optimistic guy. This is like with video games, like ongoing video games or like new TV shows, like the first episode of a TV show, right? The characters are completely different from like one of the last episodes of a TV show, right? They find their character, their voices, the way their mannerisms are. So that's what I'm kind of looking at it. Like the VAs are very hit or miss right now. Some of them are great. Some of them are not so great, but my hope is that it'll just get better, like better direction, better, like finding their characters and like their motivations, I guess, and just like improving upon them. But as of right now, as it stands, English VA, hit or miss. Another con, which I kind of talked about earlier, was like the slow burn of the story, but it does get good a little bit later. That could be a con for a lot of people where like the story is boring for some people, but I promise you it does pick up. It does get better once you meet Scar, which is only like a few hours into the story, so keep with it. For people like me who like need a good story and lovable characters and stuff to be engaged, it is a slow burn. I mean, go back and play any other gacha game at like 1.0 and see how amazing those stories are, because they ain't, bro. They ain't. I have, you know, full hope that we'll meet way cooler characters and the characters that you have already met will become more interesting. Off the bat, I will say Scar and Jian, like those characters are really cool, especially Scar, dude. I think he steals the show. So if we get more of that along the story, like I think we'll be fine. And if you're not really feeling the story or you're just not really into it, in a recent update, they added a skip button, so you can just pretty much skip the entirety of the story and get to what you want to do. And yeah, those are really all the cons that I have. Like there's not that many, and this is only like 10 hours in. I'm only level 13, 14 right now. There's like a lot of content that I have not reached yet, but again, this is just a first impressions, 10 hours in, and just my thoughts and like a quick pros and cons for you guys. So for people watching, if you're wondering, Doro, should I download it? Should I give it a try? Because I've been getting that question a lot. My answer is simply, yeah, download it. It's free to play. All it'll cost you is your time. I think it is worth your time. Genuinely speaking, it is worth the time, especially if you've been wanting something different in the gacha space, something maybe more challenging. This game is it. This is the one. Is it perfect? No. No game is perfect. If anything, I think the combat itself would get you addicted to playing this game every day and challenging yourself, because personally, I'm someone who likes to build their characters and get stronger so that I can defeat enemies faster. But I feel like in other games, you get to a point where you just demolish everything and then the challenge kind of fades away. But in this game, you will need to get stronger. You will need to build your characters. And aside from just building your characters, you're gonna have to become a better player at the game. And I love that. I love that so much. And that motivates me to want to play even more. That's where the addictive nature comes in. So overall, first impressions of this game, they're doing a great job. And I think there's so much potential. They have everything to just dominate, I think, and be a big name in the gacha space. And from the track record and seeing like how they took the feedback from the beta and implemented it into the full release game, and now them listening to the complaints now and compensating people and trying to fix it as fast as they can. Like, this is a team that cares. It really is. They care about this game. They want the game to do well. They want you guys to be happy. I'm definitely adding this to my rotation of games every day to play. I urge you to try it and play it for yourself and see what you think. But let me know in the comments down below if you've already downloaded it and what your thoughts on Wuthering Waves have been. And if you want to see more Wuthering Waves content on the YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys watching the video, and I'll catch you guys at the next one.